They're doing all this right in your eyes, right before your eyes. Am I lying? So what exactly was Shedeur Sanders supposed to compete for? A fake battle? A scripted preseason? Now all of a sudden Kenny got an injury? Vague? Unconfirmed? With no real footage or details?
But they are doing everything they can for a guy like the name of Sanders, a star of his caliber. They're doing everything they can.
Let's get one thing straight from the very beginning. This wasn't a quarterback competition. This wasn't about performance. This wasn't about merit. And it damn sure wasn't about fairness. This was a setup, a stage play complete with rehearsed lines, pre-assigned roles, and a preordained outcome at the center of it all. A 21-year-old rookie quarterback named Shedeur Sanders caught in a power game far bigger than football. Welcome to the Cleveland Browns version of quarterback theater. The curtain rises on a competition. When the Browns entered training camp, the script was already written. The ink was dry before the first whistle blew. Kenny Pickett was mysteriously named the starter before camp even began. No open competition, no performance evaluation, not a single meaningful rep taken, just a corporate announcement, cold and calculated like it was some off-season merger. No excitement, no drama, just a press release and a few forced smiles. Dillon Gabriel, the unproven rookie out of Oklahoma, was handed the QB2 spot. No press conference, no fanfare, no on-field justification, just a name on a depth chart as if it was always meant to be. And Shedeur Sanders thrown into the mix as a project pick, relegated to minimal reps behind closed doors in controlled settings where cameras and reporters rarely tread. He was the afterthought, the extra, the guy you mentioned at the end of the meeting. If this was a quarterback battle, where was the fight? Where were the bullets flying? Where was the intensity? Where were the actual snaps? There weren't any, because this wasn't war, this was a play. And Shedeur wasn't cast as the hero, he was the fall guy, the one set up to fail so others could succeed. The message was clear from day one. This is not your story, you're just a character in ours. The injury that wasn't then came the plot twist. Kenny Pickett's hamstring injury out of nowhere. The former Steelers QB was pulled from practice with a soft tissue injury he claims he's never had before in his career. I've never had a soft tissue injury like this. I came in great shape. Sounded strange, didn't it? Because there were no videos of the injury, no footage of him going down, no detailed medical reports released. Just a quiet whisper through team channels. Kenny Pickett's out for now, and conveniently it opened the door wide for Dillon Gabriel to soak up QB1 reps in Pickett's absence. Not Shedeur, never Shedeur. The reps were handed out like party favors, but only to those on the guest list. Shedeur was left outside peeking through the window watching the party. He was never invited to. The media asked questions, but the answers were always the same. We're just being cautious. It's a long season. Next man up, but everyone knew what was really happening. This wasn't about health. This was about control, about keeping the narrative on track, about making sure the right people got the right opportunities. And Shedeur, he was told to wait, to be patient, to trust the process. But patience is a luxury for those who have a seat at the table. For Shedeur, it was just another way to say stay in your place, manufactured silence. Let's talk about silence. Dillon Gabriel has been quiet, calculated, reserved. No waves, no noise, no controversy, and that's exactly what they want. The front office, the coaching staff, the ownership, they want silence. They want compliance. They want players they can mold, players who follow the script, who don't ask questions, who don't challenge the status quo. Shedeur Sanders, too much energy, too much attention, too much independence. He doesn't play by their rules, he plays by his, and that's the threat, because it's not just about how well you throw the football, it's about how controllable you are, how obedient, how marketable in the right ways, not the Shedeur ways. He's not a yes man, he's not a pawn, he's not here to play a role written by someone else. And in a league where image control is king, that's dangerous, because the NFL isn't just about football, it's about power, it's about image, it's about making sure the right people stay in charge, so they keep Shedeur on a leash. Limited reps, no rhythm, no chance to build chemistry. story, no chance to show what he can really do. And when the media asks why the answers are always the same, he's still learning. He needs more time. He's not ready yet, but everyone knows the truth. He's not being given a chance to be ready. Andrew Berry, the Browns' general manager, stood before reporters and tried to sell a dream. We may keep all 4 quarterbacks if they all play well. That's a smokescreen. NFL rosters don't carry 4 quarterbacks, not in the regular season, not when roster spots are gold. They'll keep 3. So the real question becomes who gets cut, who gets hidden, who gets protected. If this was a fair fight, Shedeur would be pushing for QB2, maybe even QB1. He's shown flashes, accuracy, pocket awareness, mobility, leadership. But what has Gabriel shown that justifies his guaranteed QB2 reps? Nothing except that he fits the mold, quiet, safe, cooperative. And that's the trick. They're not grooming a starter. They're engineering a narrative. They're building a story they can control, a story where the right people win and the rest are just footnotes. Shedeur is more than a footnote. He's a headline, but headlines are dangerous. When they don't fit the script, this is how they do it. Name your guy early, remove doubt, eliminate debate, injure him quietly, buy time, shift spotlight, let your backup cook. Not the best player, but the safest one. Keep the threat. Shedeur on a leash. Limited reps, no rhythm. Say all the right things. We value competition. Everyone gets a chance. Do all the wrong things behind closed doors in plain sight. And through it all, the media plays along. They parrot the headlines. They regurgitate the sound bites. They say Shedeur hasn't earned it while ignoring that he hasn't been given the reps to earn it. They say Gabriel is steady, but forget to mention he's been gifted reps on a silver platter. The Browns aren't evaluating talent, they're protecting choices, they're defending status quos. Shedeur Sanders, he's a disruptor to the order. The fans see it, the players see it, even the coaches deep down know it, but the machine keeps rolling because that's what machines do. They protect themselves, they protect the system, and anyone who threatens the system becomes the enemy. This is bigger than one quarterback battle. It's bigger than Cleveland. It's bigger than the preseason. Shedeur Sanders represents a cultural shift. He's the son of Dion. He's the face of a new generation of black quarterbacks who control their brands, their narratives, their value. He makes $15 million off the field. He's already moving jerseys, deals, and culture. And the NFL, it doesn't know how to handle that not yet. Shedeur is polished but raw, popular but polarizing, unapologetically himself. Unapologetically powerful, and in a league that still fears losing control. That's threatening because when power shifts to the players, especially ones who won't bow their heads, owners panic, coaches get nervous, GMs go silent, so they play the only card they know. Control the reps, control the narrative, control the rise, but you can't control what you don't understand, and Shedeur is something they have never seen before, a quarterback who's as comfortable in front of a camera as he is in the pocket, a player who knows his worth and isn't afraid to show it, a young man who refuses to be defined by anyone else's expectations, the quiet rebellion. But here's the part they didn't script. Shedeur's impact doesn't depend on their approval. He doesn't need to be named QB1 to dominate headlines. He doesn't need 100 snaps to influence millions. He doesn't need the front office's blessing to be the people's choice, because we see it. We saw the limited reps. We saw the accuracy. We saw the leadership. We saw the potential, even when they tried to hide it. And now they're losing control of the story because every time Shedeur touches the field, it's another reminder this kid can play. And if he can play, what excuse is left? The fans are starting to ask questions. The media is starting to dig deeper. The narrative is starting to shift, and the Browns are running out of answers because you can only hide talent for so long. You can only control the story until the story starts to control you. And that's what's happening now. The quiet rebellion is growing louder. The whispers are turning into shouts, and the people are starting to demand the truth. The Browns think they're playing chess, strategizing moves, protecting their future. But what they're actually doing is playing with fire, because the longer they bury Shedeur, the louder the backlash will grow. Fans aren't stupid. They can read between the lines. They know when someone's being iced out. And in a city like Cleveland, where loyalty runs deep, if the front office picks the wrong hill to die on, they'll feel it for seasons to come. Because what happens when Shedeur goes elsewhere and thrives? What happens when he becomes the face of another another franchise? What happens when Gabriel busts and Pickett flounders? You can't PR your way out of that. You can't fake injury your way out of that. You'll just be the franchise that let a star slip through your fingers because you were afraid of what he represented. Not his arm, not his mobility, not even his swag, his independence. And that's the real threat, not just to the Browns, but to the entire league. Because if Shedeur succeeds, the system fails, the narrative collapses, the old rules don't apply anymore, and that's what they're really afraid of. Change, progress, a new way of doing things, a battle bigger than football. So what exactly was Shedeur Sanders supposed to compete for? A fake battle, a rigged stage, a preseason with predetermined winners they never intended for him to win. They never even intended for him to fight. He was brought in as a distraction, as a box to check, as a marketing chip for a franchise desperate to buy relevance while afraid to embrace the very force that could change their fortunes. But Shedeur Sanders isn't here to play the role they wrote for him. He's not here to wait his turn. He's not here to be the quiet third stringer. He's not here to smile for the cameras while others take his snaps. He's here to compete. He's here to disrupt. He's here to win. And you can't script that away. You can fake injuries. You can shuffle reps. You can hide him behind vague press releases and padded interviews. But eventually the talent shines through. The truth breaks out and the people they remember, because fans might not know every X and O, but they know when someone's being played. So while the Browns continue this game of smoke and mirrors, protecting safe bets and silencing dangerous truths, Shedeur Sanders just keeps showing up, keeps working, keeps throwing, keeps winning the people. And when the real battle begins, not in closed-door scrimmages, not in staged reps, but under the lights in front of millions, he'll be ready, because he's not just competing for a job. He's competing for his name, for every young athlete who's been told, wait your turn, for every black quarterback who's been labeled not ready, for every player with power who's been told to tone it down. Shedeur Sanders doesn't need permission to shine. He just needs one shot, and when it comes, the Browns better pray they weren't wrong, because if they were, they didn't just rig a preseason. They lit the fire beneath the next great quarterback story and tried to snuff it out. But stories like this, they don't fade. They explode, and when they do, the whole world watches. So here's the truth. You can control the reps, you can control the narrative, but you can't control destiny. Shedeur Sanders, he's coming for everything they said he couldn't have, not just for himself, but for everyone who's ever been told to wait their turn, for everyone who's ever been told to stay in their lane, for everyone who's ever been told they're too much, too loud, too different. This isn't just a football story, this is a revolution, and it's only just begun.